It is Rich Paul's take that the Lakers are not real contenders. And he would know, right? After all, he is LeBron's agent. So, you also have to assume that it's not just Rich Paul's take that the Lakers aren't real contenders. It's Team LeBron's take.
Jim Rome doesn't waste time chasing NBA gossip unless something smells off. And this time, he locked in fast. When Rich Paul, LeBron James' longtime agent, stepped out and flat out said the Lakers aren't real contenders, that wasn't just a casual take. That was a message sent loud and clear. If you know how Clutch Sports moves, you already know statements like that don't slip out by accident.
Like, I personally don't think the Lakers are good enough to be contenders right now. Not right now.
So here's the real question everyone's dodging. When Rich Paul says the Lakers can't contend, is that really his opinion, or is LeBron talking through his agent without taking the heat himself? Be real for a second, because this situation goes way beyond basketball and straight into power plays.
I mean, if Rich Paul knows that much about basketball tactics, knows more than Farmer JJ, then shouldn't he be the head coach of the Lakers? You know, Rich, why didn't LeBag pick you instead of Farmer JJ to be his wine-sipping X's and O's podcast partner?
Let's not play dumb here. Rich Paul doesn't speak unless LeBron is cool with it. That's always been the deal. Paul didn't rise to the top because of coaching IQ or X's and O's mastery. His influence comes from one thing only, representing LeBron James. His job is simple: protect LeBron, push LeBron's narratives, and apply pressure when LeBron wants pressure applied. So when Rich Paul jumps on a podcast and claims the Lakers aren't built to win, nobody needs a decoder ring. That's LeBron's voice coming through a middleman, plain and simple.
And if you think the Lake Show is a legitimate contender this season for an NBA championship, you would also be wrong. Sorry, Laker fan. Hate to be that wet blanket. Hate to be the cooler. Hate to be the one to dump a bunch of cold water all over you. Hate to suck the joy out of this season, but your Lakers are nothing but a bunch of frauds.
Jim Rome caught that instantly and didn't soften it at all. He called it exactly what it looked like. Rome pointed out how wild this is. The Lakers are actually winning games right now. The standings don't scream fraud, yet LeBron's camp is already setting up the excuse board early. That doesn't happen by chance. That's strategy in motion.
Don't take that from me, because it's not even my take. I don't even believe that. However, it is Rich Paul's take that the Lakers are not real contenders. And he would know, right? After all, he is LeBron's agent. So, you also have to assume that it's not just Rich Paul's take that the Lakers aren't real contenders. It's Team LeBron's take. And if it's Team LeBron's take, safe to assume it is LeBag's take.
And Rome was right to ask why an agent is suddenly acting like a championship analyst. Since when did Rich Paul become an expert on playoff rotations, defensive schemes, and postseason matchups? If he knows so much about why this team can't win, why isn't he on the bench drawing plays or running practices? That's where the whole story starts to fall apart. This was never about hoops breakdowns. This is about control.
If you don't feel that way, you might want to check your agent, because he's going on his pod and he's saying it in broad daylight. You might want to make it clear to everybody that your agent does not speak for you or through you. Because right now the obvious assumption is everybody is making just the opposite assumption, that your agent is doing your talking for you.
For the first time during LeBron's Lakers run, the organization isn't fully folding. Luka gets his extension. Austin Reeves is next in line to get paid. JJ Redick is actually coaching like a coach, not just a friendly voice from a mic. And suddenly, Rich Paul is out here saying the Lakers style is easy to shut down. That's not analysis, that's a direct shot.
Like, I personally don't think the Lakers are good enough to be contenders right now. Not right now.
When you say contenders, what do you mean?
I don't think they have enough to get to the Western Conference Final. I don't think they have enough to get to really contend from that perspective.
Jim Rome called it exactly that, a not-so-subtle attack on the coaching staff and the direction of the franchise. And here's the part people keep ignoring. If LeBron truly disagreed with Rich Paul, he would have shut it down immediately. One sentence, one quote, one post-game comment saying, My agent doesn't speak for me, but that never happened. Instead, there was silence. And in this league, silence says everything.
Like, scoreboard, don't look at it. Standings, don't look up at them. You're thinking about this all wrong. What you should be asking yourself is this: does the team revolve around LeBron? And since the answer is now no, they obviously are not good enough. They suck. They have no chance. I mean, easy, Lava Paul.
LeBron understands optics better than anyone. He knows if he openly trashes the Lakers, social media would torch him instantly. He can't say the roster isn't good enough while chasing records, milestones, and legacy at the same time. So the message comes out another way. So what's the move? Simple. You send Rich Paul out front. Let the agent catch the heat. Let Clutch Sports steer the narrative. And if it blows back hard, LeBron can sit there acting like his hands are clean.
Team LeBag is at it again, and they're getting baggier by the moment. And it's only going to get worse now that Lava Paul has his own podcast to launder LeBag's bullcrap through. Like, some of us are smart enough to see through that garbage. In fact, I'd like to believe that most of us are. I'd like to believe that most people can see how transparently petty and ridiculous and unprofessional this all is. And that wasn't even all he said. As an example, he also said they would lose in the playoffs because their, quote, style of play will be very easy to defend, end of quote. Clearly a not-so-veiled shot at J.J. Redick.
That's the play, and everyone watching closely knows it. That's exactly why Jim Rome called it unprofessional. You don't publicly undercut the team your client plays for unless there's a clear agenda. And the agenda couldn't be more obvious. If the Lakers fall short, the excuse is already locked and loaded. If they win, LeBron gets praised for dragging a non-contender across the finish line.
But since Farmer JJ is on board with building around Luka, Farmer JJ is now the bad guy who won't win in the playoffs because his style was so easy to defend. Well, terrible head coach choice by your client then, Lava Paul. Like, I didn't know agents were so well versed in X's and O's like this. I mean, if Rich Paul knows that much about basketball tactics, knows more than Farmer JJ, then shouldn't he be the head coach of the Lakers?
Heads he wins, tails the organization eats it. Rome also roasted how absurd this all sounds. Rich Paul is talking like the season's already done. Might as well cancel the games, shut the lights off, and go home because the agent says it's over. That sarcasm hit hard because it exposed the arrogance behind the whole situation. It's like one camp thinks it gets to decide when a historic franchise is legit and when it's not. And let's talk defense, because that's the crutch everyone leans on. Yes, the Lakers have defensive issues. Nobody's denying that. Luka, Reeves, and LeBron on the floor together aren't exactly locking teams up every night. But here's the hypocrisy screaming in plain sight. Defense only matters when it fits the narrative. LeBron hasn't played consistent, high-effort defense for years, yet suddenly the team's defensive flaws are the reason they can't contend. That's rich, and Jim Rome wasn't buying it. Rome's bigger point was about power. This is what it looks like when a superstar starts losing leverage. Years ago, this conversation never happens. Rich Paul wouldn't even hint that the Lakers weren't contenders because LeBron ran everything. He got the trades he wanted. He got Anthony Davis. He got Russell Westbrook. He got the coach he pushed for. He even had influence during moments when his family became part of the league conversation. That level of control is slipping, and this public pushback is what that looks like. Now, instead of dictating moves, LeBron is positioning himself as the victim. The organization didn't do enough. The style isn't right. The roster can't win. Sound familiar? It's the same script we've seen at the end of every LeBron era. Cleveland, Miami, back to Cleveland, and now Los Angeles. Jim Rome wasn't falling for it, and neither should anyone else. He made it clear that if Rich Paul's comments were truly independent, LeBron would have said so already, but he won't, because they aren't independent. They're coordinated. That's how Clutch Sports operates. Narrative first, accountability later, if ever. Look at the timing. Contract talks stalled. Extensions handed out to everyone except LeBron. J.J. Redick coaching with real autonomy. Luka becoming the future face of the franchise. And suddenly Rich Paul is on a podcast torching the Lakers' championship hopes. That's not random, that's leverage warfare. Rome also pointed out how disrespectful this is to Lakers fans. While the team is trying to build something sustainable, LeBron's camp is already laying the groundwork for "they failed me" headlines. That's not leadership, that's self-preservation. And don't miss the irony. Rich Paul criticizing the Lakers' style of play when that style was shaped by LeBron himself. He wanted J.J. Redick. He pushed for certain personnel fits. You can't design the house and then complain about the foundation cracking. In the end, Jim Rome didn't just go at Rich Paul. He exposed the entire operation, the puppet strings, the narrative laundering, the strategic silence, and the growing reality that the Lakers are preparing to move forward, with or without LeBron. This feels like the final chapter, one last season of passive-aggressive messaging, one last batch of excuses preloaded, because when this run ends, LeBron doesn't want the blame. So when Rich Paul says the Lakers aren't contenders, believe him, not because it's true, but because it tells you exactly where LeBron's mindset is, already distant, already separating himself, already setting the stage. Jim Rome saw it, a lot of fans see it, and the real question now is whether the Lakers finally stand firm and let this era close, instead of bending again. Because when an agent is doing this much talking, it's only because the star doesn't want to say it himself, and that says everything. At this point, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Every time LeBron James feels his grip loosening, the messaging shifts, the tone changes, the groundwork for excuses gets laid early, and suddenly, narratives start popping up everywhere. What Rich Paul said didn't come out of thin air, and it definitely wasn't random. This is exactly how Team LeBron moves when the spotlight starts drifting somewhere they can't fully control anymore. The Lakers don't revolve around LeBron anymore, and that's the real issue nobody wants to say out loud. Luka is clearly being positioned as the future. Austin Reeves is lined up to get paid. J.J. Redick is coaching without checking in with a podcast or clearing every move first. For the first time in years, LeBron isn't the final voice in the room, and that changes everything. That loss of power explains all of this noise. Rich Paul going public isn't about honesty or basketball breakdowns. It's about leverage. It's about reminding the front office, the fans, and the media that LeBron can still shake the table if he wants to. If things go sideways, the excuses are already prepared and waiting. And if things go right, LeBron still gets to say he overcame a flawed roster and tough circumstances. Either way, the escape route stays wide open. Let's be real though. If this was 5 or 10 years ago, none of this would be happening. No podcast doubts, no public skepticism, no agent questioning whether the team is legit. That alone tells you exactly where LeBron stands in the Lakers hierarchy today. This isn't confidence, this is insecurity dressed up as analysis. Jim Rome didn't just check Rich Paul, he exposed the entire playbook. Agents don't talk like this unless they're sent, and narratives don't move unless they're approved. And LeBron's silence right now isn't accidental at all. It's calculated. Saying nothing lets the message hang in the air without him having to officially own it. The real question is how long the Lakers allow this to keep happening. How many times does this franchise let its momentum get interrupted by one player's personal agenda? At some point, standing on business means letting go, even when the name on the jersey is one of the biggest the sport has ever seen. So now it's on you. Was Rich Paul speaking for himself? Or was this LeBron James sending a message through his agent? Is this the beginning of the end of LeBron in LA, or just another clutch sports power move? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and make sure you're subscribed because this situation is only getting messier. I'll see you on the next one.